Okay, hello everyone. We're back with another video, a continuation of the threat actors sub-module, which is on IoT security. We are going to first of all start by defining what IoT is, what its importance, and why we're seeing a rise in this kind of computing paradigm. And then we're going to look at the security risks and what the impacts of those security risks are. So, first things first, what is IoT? To explain it better, I'm going to use a story. Okay. So I had just moved into a new country where electricity was purchased using a prepaid meter. So what you do is that, you put money inside your account, and then use that money to charge or to load up your units on that prepaid meter. So one day, the units were loaded in the prepaid meter. I checked before leaving, and I had a meeting to go to. That meeting took half of the day, so I was out for about 4 or 5 hours. On returning, I had some very urgent work to attend to with my colleagues that are working remotely. But now I get back home, there's no electricity. The Wi-Fi was off. Now, being in Africa at the time, I assumed that it was a power cut, so I waited. 30 minutes, 1 hour, 3 hours, close to 4 hours I was waiting. At a certain point in time, I was like, this is unnatural, right? Even though the country might have some instability, it never lasts this long. I went now downstairs, I checked the meter, and I realized that it was empty. All of the units had been drained because I left the AC on when leaving the office in the morning. Now, there are numerous other experiences like these, where someone forgets something, doesn't check a particular thing, and that leads to unexpected consequences. There are even more dire consequences, like someone can leave the iron connected and comes back, the house is all burnt up. Someone can leave the gas open or a gas is leaking and a spark happens and the house is in flames. And what this makes us ask is, why is there a way that I can check on these things without being in the house? And this is exactly the motivation behind IoT. Connecting devices to the internet so that they can be controlled and monitored from a distance. Okay, so your devices are communicating with like the router in the house or whatever SIM cards they may have, and then that data is being sent to the internet, which you can now access or control from your phones. And additionally, some other systems even allow you within the local area network, right? You're connected to the same network at home, you can control those devices. Now, IoT has the following use cases. It's used in homes for controlling household devices like fridges, ACs, video surveillance, you name it, right? Even gas that can be controlled using IoT. You also have healthcare, which are like medical devices that are controlled wirelessly, allowing loved ones and medical practitioners to check up on their patients and to administer care without having to operate the patient or even to view them physically. They also have another very important use case, which is smart devices in enterprises, which are like sensors that control, that view video surveillance feeds, and that automate certain processes in farms like watering and soil fertilization. Okay, so all of these are things like I said before. We had fridges, we had ACs before, but now with IoT, we are going to add some more intelligence to these devices such that without having to be next to them or close to them, I can manage them, I can view their information from afar. And that is what IoT is, Internet of Things. Okay, we have our things that are connected to the internet that we can control from a distance. And why IoT can be very beneficial, it poses some security threats. IoT turns every device. Sorry, I missed the slide on IoT use cases. Shit. No, I'll do it again. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Last time we were looking at the threat actors in the subsection 1.2, and we saw the different types of threat actors, what their motivations are, and their skill levels. Today we're looking at another often overlooked part of threat actors, which is IoT security. I'm going to talk about what IoT is, its use cases, and what some risks are with this kind of uh, setting. So IoT first and foremost means Internet of Things. Okay, Internet of Things, which is a concept that connects different devices that were once totally digital, one could say. Connects those devices to the internet so that they can be monitored and controlled from a distance. But now to better understand the concepts and even what brought about this whole idea, I'm going to use a story. I had just moved into a new country where electricity was purchased using a prepaid meter. So I just moved into a new country where electricity was purchased using a prepaid meter. So what happens is that you're going to load up some units or some money into your account and then use that money to purchase units. Once those units finish, you have to recharge the meter. Now one day I had an important meeting that I went to. But before leaving, I checked my meter. I had enough units for about 2 or 3 days even. Now this meeting took up about 4 to 5 hours. And on returning, I had some very, very urgent work to do with my collaborators online because we work remotely. But the Wi-Fi was off due to no electricity. I assumed it was a power cut. So I waited 30 minutes, 1 hour, 3 hours. It didn't come back. And this was quite unusual. In this time, my colleagues had gone ahead before me, and I was a bit unprepared for the meeting that we had to go and prepare for the next day. Now, I was a bit worried. I went and checked the meter, and I realized that it was empty. There was 0 units on it. I recharged it, and coming back to the house now, I saw that the AC came on automatically. So the reason why the meter was drained was because I left the AC on upon going for the meeting. There are numerous other experiences like this, where either because we're in a rush or we just totally forget, we leave some things on that should not be on in our absence. And this has sometimes even more dire consequences. Think about the times where you left the iron on and the iron burnt up some furniture. Or even more uh, even more dangerously, there was a gas leak somewhere that you left unchecked, and then a spark leads to your whole house being burnt up. If only there were a way to wirelessly control the devices and systems so that we don't have these kinds of unintended consequences. And this is exactly the motivation behind the Internet of Things, IoT, to connect devices to the internet or to a network so that they can be controlled and monitored from a distance using applications or websites. This gives the owners the freedom to go anywhere in the world and still keep an eye on their homes, their businesses, and their clients from their phones, from their laptops, or even from a simple web browser. Now, IoT has the following use cases. In homes, it is used to control household devices like fridges, ACs, gas, heating, and video surveillance. That way, you can be alerted of a particular incident even when you're traveling up and down. It's good to monitor the kids and monitor that everything is okay in the house. It can also be used for healthcare, where I have devices like pacemakers that are being implanted into patients' hearts to regulate their heartbeat. Okay, and now these kind of devices need sometimes to be configured so that they don't do more than is necessary. And in the past, to configure these devices, medical doctors had to operate the patients and then now configure and then sew them back up. That was a lot of work, a lot of trainers and other things that can come up, that can happen due to that opening and operating. But now with IoT, the doctor can just open an app on his phone, regulate the patient's pacemaker, and then be done with it. We have other things like monitoring somebody's heart rate from a distance so that you can give care, or you can consult, or you can advise them on what to do or what not to do in healthcare. And then there's also it being used in manufacturing and agriculture. We have a lot of smart devices that are being used to control the sensors in different areas, to view video surveillance feeds, to alert of somebody trying to, or of an authorized person, coming to a particular region, and even to automate processes like watering and soil fertilization in big agricultural firms and companies. Now, while IoT can be very beneficial, it poses some security threats, some security risks, if you will. Why is that? Because IoT turns every device into a computer, and computers can be hacked. This is often worsened by the fact that IoT devices generally have less security measures implemented on them, either due to negligence on the part of the manufacturers or even just technological constraints due to the size of the devices. And this reality makes IoT devices a prime target for attackers who can use them to pivot their way into more valuable assets in a company or to even perform more massive scale attacks in the future. A successful attack can have the following outcomes. The first one is a privacy breach, where someone can be monitoring you through devices that they have hacked into. They can also steal sensitive health data stored on these devices. The next risk is a safety risk. Take, for example, something like a smart car. If an attacker took control of a smart car, what could he really do? It could cause an accident by, activating the brakes on the car, or if it takes control of a health-related device, it can disable a patient's pacemaker and causing something like a heart failure or even a stroke. The next risk is the denial of service, where attackers use a use a large group of hacked IoT devices known as a botnet to perform large-scale attacks. Okay, so these botnets are often used to overwhelm internet servers and to cause them to stop functioning. An example is DIN, which is a domain name provider that was attacked in this manner in October 2016. And this attack temporarily crippled the websites of major platforms like Twitter, Netflix, and Reddit, all on the base of compromised IoT devices. And then finally, we have a network breach. So, in companies that have IoT devices controlling certain aspects, an attacker can hack into an IoT device and then use that initial access to compromise other devices in the system. A good example of this was a case in, I think, 2020 or thereabouts, where a smart thermometer in a fish tank was used to access a casino's client list. You guys see what I'm saying? They had a smart thermometer in a fish tank that was connected to the same network as the other devices. Once the attackers got past this smart thermometer, they stayed in that device and then found ways to move into other devices in the network. So these are the different risks with IoT devices. And this now calls for more scrutiny in IoT implementations. So if you're charged with implementing IoT in a particular place, or better still, if you're even a security professional in an environment that uses IoT, be sure to perform some good segmentation and some good security best practices, patches, and so on and so forth on these devices to limit the risks of these attacks. Now, I thank you once more for your time, your attention, and watching this video right up to this moment. If you've watched the video right up to now, that probably means that you like it. So please leave a like. It costs nothing and it benefits me in ways that you can't imagine. Additionally, subscribe to the channel, share with somebody that needs it to stay updated. And feel free to leave a comment for whatever things I may have missed during my explanations. And also connect with me on other platforms, LinkedIn and TikTok. Have a nice day and bye. I hope I paused that.